Good morning. I'm Mike Houchard from the Conyers Kennel Club. Dogs have been a passion of mine since I married a young lady who was in purebred dogs. What I have for you is a tool for your toolbox. It's a checklist, it's a guideline, it's a format that you can use. Be the most knowledgeable individual in the room. If you wish to win the battle, the war, the argument, the point, be the most knowledgeable individual in the room. You got to do your homework. Be the most controlled individual in the room. We deal in what we're talking about here in very emotional areas. When you're talking about having to deal with a child being bit at the local level and somebody wants to ban all dogs, very emotional. If you're in that discussion and in that room and you're calm, you're cool, and you're collected, you're going to make more points than somebody that's just off the wall. So the second point is, make sure you're the person that's the calming effect in a room. The third one, and this is the one where it costs you a little bit, be willing to volunteer. Be willing to help with the solution to the problem. If you're the most knowledgeable person in the room, you're probably going to have the best ideas as to how to resolve the issue. Don't be reluctant to say to a councilman or a commissioner or a committee member, look, I understand the problem. I understand your concerns. I understand that you're between a rock and a hard place as a politician. Here's some options that I'd like you to consider. And I'm willing to work with your staff or with you in developing a solution. Most elected officials, like most human beings, cannot know everything. And if you are viewed as reasonable, as knowledgeable, they're going to take your advice. Now, they may not always do it exactly the way you wanted to do it, but if you've got them steered in the right direction so that the outcome is what you want, you've accomplished your task. And the fourth one, don't forget to thank people for allowing you to participate. Don't forget to thank them for allowing you to be a part of the process. Now, out of those four, the prime directive is number one. You've got to be knowledgeable. Other people in that room may also be well-armed, have done their homework. So you've got to do yours. Know the background. What's the issue? How did it happen? How did it come about? Did a child get bit? Did a dog get loose someplace and go wild? You got to understand what the background was. You have to know a little bit about the parties involved. Is the person that's bringing the issue to the city council the brother-in-law of the mayor? A little difficult. Is he on one of the boards as a volunteer? You need to know those things. You need to know what you're up against when you're trying to get the solution that you want. So it's extremely important to understand the issue. How do you get to be invited to participate? Extremely important. Generally, I kind of exclude the city of Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, the big metropolitan areas. It's a little more difficult dealing there, but you can do it. The principles are the same. Most of us come from something under 100,000 or under 200,000. It's not hard to know who the commissioners are, if it's a county, who the councilmen are, or whatever the term is that's used for the elected officials in your jurisdiction. Now, those people get there because they get votes. They get votes by going out and shaking hands, participating in organizations. Your job is to get to know them so that they know you. And one of the easiest ways is during campaign season, you go and you put $10, $25 towards an individual's campaign. Those people keep detailed lists. They know who contributed and who didn't. And if you need to go see a mayor, a councilman, or a commissioner, and you make a phone call and say, I'd like to come talk to you about an issue, they know whether you were a contributor or not. Now, most of them, since you're a constituent, are going to give you an opportunity to come see them. But they also know whether you were one of their contributors or not. And sometimes the audience is that you have with them is a little different. So getting to know the candidates or getting to know the elected official, extremely important. Because then they get to know, well, does this person really know what they're talking about? And once they know that you are an individual of one, integrity, and two, knowledge, you'll get called on. Because as I say, they don't know all the answers. And they want all the help they get. And they also want all the cover they can get. That's why lots of places they use committees to solve problems. It's not directly tied to them. So, if you are going to be successful, you need to get involved in that process. A long time ago, most of you are of an age like me. It wasn't what you knew, it was who you knew. Well, let me tell you, that's still so today. So get to know your elected officials. Get to know the head of animal control. Is that person merely a staff person, or does that person make input on policy? Does that person give guidance to the council he works for or the commission he works for or she works for? Now that's an easy thing to do, to know about animal control. I mean, that's what we're about. We're about dogs. So it's a case of knowing your community, knowing the leadership, and letting them know that you're there to assist them. It was said earlier about legislation. What's the best way to keep it from getting to the state or the federal level? If there is no problem at the local level, the activists have a very difficult time escalating it to the next level. If you solve the problems locally, they don't have a torch to carry. So think about that. The easiest place, where you know the people, where you have input, local level. It's just like the age-old statement, all politics is local. And that's exactly right. Most problem solution is local. I've had in my community, we had an incident. A child was seriously hurt by, naturally, from the news media, a pit bull. I don't know what that breed is, but the pit bull did it. Well, it's a small county. We have 3 commissioners. And a chairman is one of those 3. That's the ruling body in terms of ordinances, rules, regulations. And one of the three just was off the wall. We got to ban loose dogs. We got to ban pit bulls totally. Well, it was about a 3-month process to finally get to the point of an understanding, of explaining to that individual, if it's pit bulls today, it's cockers tomorrow, it's chihuahuas the next day. I said, you don't stop. You never stop. So what you've got to do is come up with an ordinance that deals with loose dogs. Doesn't matter what breed it is. And it's not that difficult once you get people in a room and you're reasonable about how to deal with the solution. Because what they want a solution. They want to be able to go out and say to the constituents, we're ready to do this to solve this problem that happened. And what you want is the solution that's acceptable to us as owners and breeders. So you got to be there. You got to be at the table. I've always said, I want to eat at the table. I don't want to pick the crumbs up off the floor. You got to get to that table to help formulate the solution. They do. They truthfully do appreciate when you come forward and say, I can help with this problem. Now, you can't come out of the blue. You can't go into the chairman's office and say, I'm John Doe and I can solve this problem for you. Well, he don't know who John Doe is from Jack Rabbit. But if he has seen you, if he has talked with you, if he has seen how you perform, he'll say, yeah, okay, Mike, we got to find out how to fix this. I'm putting together a work group. Would you please be a part of it? And it works. As I said now, you got to thank them. When they ask you to be a part of it, don't forget to say thank you. And don't forget to say, I'm willing to do it again if you need it. It's not hard. It really isn't hard. We tend as human beings to make things more complicated than they really are. It's interpersonal relationships, key. I have a grandson that just started college, and I've said to him, I said, Ethan, what you got to do is learn to interact with people. You'll learn the technical stuff in the classroom. But if you can't communicate, if you can't interact, you're going to be ineffective. Same thing with this. You've got to be able to interact with these individuals. And you'll probably be positioned to win your point and win the battle.